All right, well, this is Wet Birds, Birdshot number 3. I don't know if you can see me very well back here, but that's all right because we got one of, if not the biggest duck callers in Louisiana, Mr. Dale Bordelon. So we're going to ask him a few questions about the old days and hear some good stories, hopefully.
Yeah, I got plenty.
So I guess the first question is, how long have you been duck hunting for?
This will be my 51 season
Wow.
coming up.
And what got you started? What was your first year hunting?
That goes back. My daddy was a big duck hunter from the 60s. And he used to get up in the morning and I'd want to go. And we had an old house, wood house with a little space heater. And I'd go stand by the heater. Well, I wanted to go by. That's the only heat we had in that old house. This old wooden house. He'd go hunting. He'd come back with a bunch of mallards. And his old friends, I got to know his old friends. They killed duck to sell in the old days. And they used to come to our place of business and just talk about all these duck they killed.
Yeah.
Selling feathers, making pillars. And I grew up in all that environment.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, at my age, carry that on.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with it. It's hard to let it go.
I hear you.
And I want to keep it kind of going on, you know.
I've seen pictures of back in the day where people used to kill hundreds of birds. On a good day for your dad for the business, how many birds would he come back home with?
Oh, they wouldn't kill 100, but they've killed several sacks. I don't know how many, but I know his old friends killed hundreds.
Really?
And one of mine had in the old days, they didn't have the Frigidairs, and they had the water wells,
Mm-hmm.
and it was cool down there. So they put them in there, and it lasts 4 or 5 days till they get 100, 150 ducks, and they make a trip to New Orleans.
And sell
Clean all night long in the barn, him and his wife and kids.
So,
His brother-in-law had a store in New Orleans, and they back up by the front door, open the tailgate, sell them like watermelons.
oh, wow. That's very
You can
cool.
do that in those days. The law wasn't bad. But I grew up with that. That's the old man. Mr. Sammy Poncho is his name. He's the one that taught me how to soft call. Long time ago, him. And so I started making calls long time ago. It looked like I always did that my whole life. And I've never had a man show me how to do it. They didn't have iPhones, Google,
YouTube.
never heard of that back then. So I had old shop with a vise, and I didn't even have a lake. I'd make them, and I made a bunch till I got the sound. And then when I made a good one, I built me a jig just out of some material I had in there. I'd follow it down the contour of that jig. You gotta have a reference point.
yeah.
And that way, when I got that one that was good, I had that jig, so they all can be. It's just a matter of following it down to get the sound you want. So I was self-taught. So I hunted with that old man, Sammy, and I've told this story before. I had a bunch of loud calls. I thought you had to have the loudest call, and most people do that now.
Yeah.
They want a loud call. They watch that on those. I used to see folks won a world championship in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And it was and it wasn't loud then, but it then got to it now, and even years ago. You would think that was the best call because it won a championship. But that doesn't mean that's the best call to duck hunt.
Right.
I don't hunt with those kind of calls, but I used to have some until I hunted with Mr. Sammy, and I was calling loud, and that would happen. And he had one of those old soft calls, man, and he taught me a lesson. He started working duck, and he taught me the blind that day. You gotta call when you're working a big bunch of mallards, and they had those ducks in those days. You wanted the whole bunch in the ring, so you had to talk to those ducks what
Right.
they wanted to hear,
Yeah.
where they can get them. So because they would shoot them in the head,
Yeah.
So that was probably the most educational hunt I ever made without realizing it till years later. So I built my calls around his call, I guess you can say. And several other old timers, they would follow the reeds down in the 70s, and I'd watch them. All they had was forks, Cajun game calls, and oats. And they would just, and I'd ask, what you doing? Oh, I'm making my call soft. They want, all those people is like that. So that's how I hunt.
Yeah.
And if you look on Dale P. Bordelon on Facebook, I'm not a bragging man. I got pictures. We're killing ducks like that.
I've seen them.
We kill all our ducks like that. And we land them. I land them. I got my bowers, and we counted 3. They know which ones to shoot. You should, if you got one duck, you shoot your lane. Don't shoot my 3.
Yeah.
So
But whoever's in the blind, I'll watch. When they hit the water, we on them. If there's 3 or 4 crossing for my friend on the end, I'll start counting before they cross. Because everybody's going to shoot one time on the water. Now, me and my 2 boys might get each a 1. He might get 4 or 5. So that's 8 ducks off the bite. And then when they get up,
you still shoot.
you kill a bunch of ducks. So what? When they go to cross, I counted 3. And we do all, but that's how they done it. Now I put that on social media, and I got blasted. People blast you for anything.
Oh yeah.
They don't realize I'm doing something that I was taught by the old people. It's
Right.
keeping that tradition going. So
Right.
that's what that's about.
people always say like duck hunting now is so much harder than back then, but from what you're telling me, it sounds like you're still able to land all these ducks. Do you think that's true?
I got a private place to hunt too, but I hunt public. We still do that over there when we can. I mean, it's a little difficult, but
So it has gone.
and there's
harder.
some days on private land you can't do that. It depends the way the wind's blowing.
Mhm.
Now,
But
do you
we
see?
we hunt like that, and I hunt with them softest decoys. That's what we hunt with all the time.
So you never bought any plastic decoys? It's always been wood, handmade
I
decoys?
bought some in the past,
Yeah.
but I ain't bought many. I use that my whole life.
Does it make any difference using the cypress decoys that you know of, or is it just like a preference of the people, kind of like the duck calls now?
I use that because it's an old Louisiana tradition. And I'm going to tell you a story. And them flocked heads and feathers on them ducks, it won't kill you no more ducks.
Oh, I believe it.
Because last year, those ducks get blind char.
Mm-hmm.
What we did, we don't take no decoys out. We leave our big spread. I have one big blind. Now you'll kill your limit to open it maybe 2 weekends in a row. Then we got 1-man blinds we split up. I have a blind with all the decoys you're talking about, fancy ones.
Yeah.
It's my brother's. But I hunted. The last weekend I put 10 of these. Soppers root. 80, 100 yards down. They're not going to come in the decoys. But they're going to break for the blind. Now they're 80, 100 yards. They won't come closer than 80 yards. But I'm sitting here on the side. Once you get a duck to break and commit, you can do something with him. He's looking.
Yeah.
And last year, the last day of the season, my boy, he had a spot like that, and I was in another spot. We killed our limit in no time, the last day of the season. And I'm talking about flock decoys, the prettiest decoys you want. We stuck a mojo in there. For sure they're not going to come, but it gets them down.
Right.
But then they'll finish off on us. That's how we hunt. That's how we kill ducks to the dead end.
So you really just base your hunts off of how the birds want. And I feel like that's something a lot of people don't pay attention to now is, working with the birds and not trying to do, we want them to do this. And they're going to keep flying,
You got to do what they want.
They keep
You can't
landing to 80
You can't make
yards.
a duck do what you want.
Right.
You got to do what they want. I know some people, when it gets tough, they quit. When they quit killing them in the blinds,
They're done.
They say you can't kill no more duck. They quit. That's a bunch of baloney.
Oh yeah.
You got to figure some tricks to fool
Right.
them, and that's the fun of duck hunting, and that's what we do.
And I think that's what got me into it big time. Because I mean, I really just started duck hunting probably 4 or 5 years ago. Duck hunting hard, you know. I grew up deer hunting, so I was like, I went with my grandpa and my uncle, and we killed a limit of teal during teal season 4.5 years ago, and that was ever since then. It's been duck hunting, and you know, first year all I did was really wood duck hunt in Thistlethwaite, and ever since then it's just been learning, and that's kind of why I started.
It gets in your
doing
blood,
this.
man. You
Yeah.
can't get it out. I'm
It's-
63 years old, and I don't know no young guys that's more pumped up than me for the next weekend.
Oh, I've been living it.
Yeah.
I'm like a kid, man, and I hope I don't lose. I didn't lose it yet. I hope it can stay with me to the end.
I think it will.
So I make my own decoys, my own dugouts, and duck calls. So it makes it a little bit more special to me.
Right.
It's like a good friend of mine said, old Pat Gregory. He's an old decoy carver from Illinois. There's never a bad day of duck hunting, because if he don't kill nothing, he gets the joy of watching his decoys floating. So that's kind of how I do.
That's awesome.
It's all good, man.
It's really cool.
But can I give you a demonstration on a soft call?
Go for it, Mr. Dale.
This is what a soft call is, what I'm talking about. Anybody can call a duck to 50 yards. My little grandson's 6 years old. He can do that. Anybody can blow a call. But what you going to do with them from then? You got to have a little knowledge. And you got to know how to read ducks. So it's very easy to blow them out the hole blowing too loud. And I've always said you got to undercall a duck. It's better to, you don't want them to hear everything because you want them to come back. Undercalling is a whole lot better. So when I build these calls, these cane calls, I'll put the low end on every call that I can. All our duck killing is from medium range on down, never
Right.
the high end. So I put the low end, and what I mean the low end, you can do that exciting call, you can do that quack and call on a low while they're working 70 to 80 yards
Right.
to get them to commit. And this is what I'm talking about. Say this about 70 yards circling. It's soft, huh? That's what I do
And that's
to try to. You gotta read birds though. A duck calls. I have mallards in my yard that do it right now. A hen duck. Well, I got one hen that does 3 notes and one does 10 to 15. And here's one hen. One hen will do that. My other hen will go. So I always say there's no correct way in calling ducks.
right.
All hens is different.
Right.
But you have to tell that hen what it wants to hear, or that drake. That's the thing. So I'm talking about reading ducks. You watch them. Don't take an eye off a duck. You got to watch them, and you try it. If you don't do nothing, just try different
Different tunes.
volumes of different cases until you see him, and then you keep talking to him. That's that's reading ducks. They're gonna give you a sign.
Right.
That's reading ducks. Once you learn how to do that, it makes it a lot more easier to work birds.
Kill a lot more birds.
Yep. Some days you can't. Last year there was hardly no water. They were so shot up. When I did, that was 3 weekends. Me and my son hunted. He hunted at one place, and I hunted by myself. You can't kill 12 ducks then, but you can kill 12 split up.
Right.
When I see a bunch, This is in January when I'd go. That salt did fly. We killed our limit doing this 3 weeks in a row. When I'd see a bunch, just soft, and half didn't come in, but the other half did. That's the
Made
ducks
it count.
we killed. So you gotta try different things.
Right.
But you gotta be soft with all that.
What's a big difference you see now in, hunters from your age, your generation, compared to hunters our age? People that are either just getting into it or people that are been hunting since they're kids, but they're our age. And what's the game change basically?
Most young guys, if they don't kill a duck in 30 minutes, they're going to another blind. If they don't kill it there, they're going around all over. They just run around. Most, they want to kill ducks and take pictures, put on social media. I'll do that too, but I sell duck calls.
Yeah.
But when I grew up, them old people, it was about survival.
Right.
It was about selling ducks and eating ducks.
Right.
If they grew up in the Depression in the 20s. They never mounted the duck. They didn't care if they killed a duck with a band, the old class. Because I was there with them. They didn't care nothing about. They wanted the ducks to sell.
Right.
And they was very conservative because they grew up in a hard time. Them kids now, I don't want to say nothing against the kids, but they get all them, money's loose now.
Right.
They get all them shells and shooting big boats,
Mm-hmm.
I know at Catahoula Lake, and this is a big issue now, all over. When I was a young man in the 70s, we'd jump shoot those ducks at a pier. All you'd hear was the boat going through the grass, and they'd jump up in front in that old meadow. Pop, 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 pop. Now, when you set up, nobody ran around after shooting time.
Right.
Now they run around 30 minutes after just vroom. It's out of hand.
Oh yeah.
And with the boats, the mud boats, they didn't have all that back then. It's a whole different world now.
Completely different. I mean, even since probably 4 years ago, I mean, it's been changing almost every day. It's like there's a new trend every other day.
Oh yeah, I know a bunch of young guys, and I tell them some tips. They look at me like I'm retarded. They won't listen. I'm telling you the truth.
Hard-headed.
They do what they want.
Stuck in the weeds.
I'm not saying nothing against no young kids, but I know some
that just don't want.
They don't care what you tell them. They just soon go by doing their own thing. If they don't kill nothing, it don't matter. It's a different society.
Very.
It's a society with money and the mud boats, everything. A duck don't have a place to rest in Louisiana or nowhere.
Yeah.
That's why they shot up at a while. See, while we hunt out, people don't realize this. I've been learned this a long time ago. They feed at night in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm hunting at as nice as you want, but they're coming there for the cover.
Right.
And that's why we hunt, and that's why we're killing our ducks. When they come in there in the nasty stuff, we let them do. We let them make a pass and watch them through a tree. Just don't fool with them.
Yeah.
Let them pass once or twice. They're looking. Then you hit them with a. They'll camaraderie. They're looking for a little persuasion, but you can't go crazy with it.
You can't push them.
You got to be soft with it.
Right.
And that's how we killed all our ducks.
And I feel like that's, I mean, I hunted Catahoula Lake last year a couple times, and we'd go sit in the blind, and we'd see a couple big groups of birds up high, and then you'd hear one guy, lone green head, just flying over, and you'd hear 2 or 3 different blinds, and they're all 80 yards apart now. They're not hunting, they're not giving anybody space, and you're hearing them just blowing the sky out with their call.
Yeah,
I mean, then that duck would go and he'd land on a group that wasn't calling. They're like, well, it's like you pushed him out. I mean,
yeah, I hunted Catahoula my whole life. I didn't see no what you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't. I hunted one day, me and my boy. There's a blind every 300 yards you want to look. and you be sitting in the blind. If you're just talking and not looking, and you hear a bunch of calling, they coming on you, and their mother blinds are calling them. And like my boy said, Daddy, when they come 50 yards, we're gonna have to shoot. I said, son, I know all about it. You can't work a duck at Catahoula.
You let them do.
If they pass 40, 50 yards, that's how that day we hunted, we killed 8 good ducks and a goose. All good ducks, man. With these little calls, just soft calling. And everybody else was, I don't see how he did that. If somebody wasn't shooting, somebody was running a boat the whole morning. I don't saw they kill anything. But I hunted there 40 something years.
Yeah. What was a point system like with the limits?
It was good.
You liked it?
Oh yeah.
Do
Really?
you think that's something LDWF should bring back?
No.
At least for a couple years?
I don't think so because they don't have the pintails are 10 points then. And they don't have the pintails. The mallards
Right.
always been, it changed a little bit, full mallards. The gray ducks was 10, that could be.
Yeah.
The scaup was 10, there's no more scaup, so they can't do that.
Right.
Oh, I guess they could work, but I talked to a lot of people across this flyway, this United States with these duck calls.
Right.
And I'm talking about all over the state.
I believe it.
All over the United States. The duck killing is not like it used to be nowhere.
Right.
I don't think that's the ducks they had in the old days.
No,
Because-
not at all.
The people, I'm not talking about last year, I'm talking about for years.
Yeah.
Their numbers all went down. I don't care if it's Tennessee, Oklahoma, Kentucky, the duck killing. And my dad always said that they don't have the ducks they used to have.
Do you think you'll ever be like it used to be?
No. I'm going to tell you something. I was talking to an old friend of mine today, an old duck hunter. I got 2 boys, 30 years old in that range, a few years apart. The mallards always came to Louisiana from the 1800s until about 2018. Give or take a few years. And if people's listening to me, they're going to agree with that. It might have been 1997. It might have been 2018. The mallards stopped coming to Louisiana.
Right.
That's a known factor.
Yeah.
My boy is 30 years old. Look at his picture. All the mallards. They sing the days when we killed the mallards
Right.
in the fields. I remember in the 70s and 80s, a front day a man could kill 100 mallards. My friends done it to sell.
Right.
I've seen the ducks. I've killed a bunch. Now it's nothing but great ducks.
Where do you think all the mallards went?
They're short stopping them with all these projects. And look, I hate to say it, but these big farmers leasing out these blinds for 10, they can make money, so they do that, and they're making projects. They do it over here in my parish. I've done it. They pay 3/4 of it for you. You can fix up a duck hole or whatever. They come look at it, survey. They didn't have that in the 70s.
Right.
And I don't think there's, well, it's showed that the mallards depleted about half from 20 years ago. I say half, it's a big depletion.
Right.
So I think that's what's happened. The gray ducks and Norwegians is a 95% vegetation eater. That's what we're killing. They're not stopping in those fields.
Right.
They come down, that's the duck we kill. That and teals and a few, don't kill no more mallards. I can show you pictures, but my boys got to be part of that, like I was a part of that with my daddy, but we was talking today, that old man, how you know in 10 years the gray duck's gonna quit coming?
Yeah.
It done got bad for Louisiana, and in my time, we said the mouthful a while ago, every 3 or 4 years you can see it gets worse.
Yeah.
I don't see where it's getting better. I don't see that. And I know I got friends that hunt the coast, hunt all over.
Yeah.
They're talking the same thing.
I mean,
But they got different. You get on social media. Now what I told you, you get 100 different statements why he thinks that duck don't come no more. That's my opinion from what
Right.
I've seen. You know,
Right.
ducks and empty. I'm not saying that about them. They fix up all kind of projects. Well, every hole you fix up, some duck, he ain't gonna come to Louisiana. He's gonna hang up somewhere, and that's all across the United States.
As long as they got water and food, they ain't moving.
They don't have the mileage no more, and they're hanging up. They're not getting to Louisiana.
Right.
They can say what they want about they clean rice. They don't leave. Yeah, that's all that. But they don't have the ducks, and they're not making it down. It don't matter if you got what you got to feed in Louisiana. If they're not making it down, it don't make no difference.
Right.
I had stuff in my fields. All they want. There's no. I can show you pictures that we killed, like this one. I can show you a bunch of them. That's a weekend. That's 2 days right there. Sign a ball willow tree about this big. One tree in the field. I don't hunt there no more. The last I hunted there 2 years after 2018, and didn't kill nothing. Nothing comes there no more. And I got stuff they could eat.
Right.
I mean, first hand seeing that. The stuff there to eat, there's no ducks. So you can plant what you want. A lot of people say, well, we need to plant this, and that ain't going to do no good.
Not at all.
They're not making it down.
Can't attract nothing.
No, but it ain't going to, I don't think it's going to get you. I'm happy to go and kill what I'm killing.
Right.
I know what I've seen. I've been hunting 51 years. I'm hunting with my boy and grandkids, and I'm pumped up like crazy. I'm happy to go. If I could kill 4 or 5, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That might run out one day, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story. I don't have it here. It's in the house. The most mileage I ever killed in my life was 1989. You know what 1989 was? A 30-day duck season, a 3-duck limit.
Cool.
But it got 5 degrees. They had several big fronts before the big freeze. About the whole season, it was big fronts.
Right.
It froze a few days before Christmas. I was a single man, and my friend I hunt with now, I wish I had those jugs with me. They're in the house. I got 2 quart jars. Nothing, and that's the only time I kept them because we started killing a bunch of them out. 2 quart jars full of curly feathers. And people say there's no way you can kill that in 30 days with 3 ducks. But it is, because I got my friend on hunts I've been on.
Right.
We killed 2 limits of mileage every day we hunted until the big freeze. That was the best year I had, and there was no ducks. It was a 3-duck limit, 30-day season. But that 5 degrees, I think that's the last time it got that cold in Louisiana. That, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what it took to push them down. Now, if you get weather like that, you'll see some ducks, but it don't get like that. Look, right now, we got duck season next week, and we're sweating in here. Huh?
Would you like a regulation like that again, of like 30 from 60 days to 30 days?
I think that would do a lot of good. Not only bringing the duck numbers up, but I feel like it'd kill a lot of the trends that's bringing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something from a personal point of view. Most people that like to hunt nowadays like to go. It's not the killing.
Right.
They're not going just to kill. That's part of it. I like to see a 60-day 3-duck limit. Me.
I'd be fine with it.
Because I've done it in the late 80s, early 90s. And we ain't never looked back and said, God darn, that's all we can kill. We never had that attitude. We was pumped up that we hunted. We killed our limit, you know?
Yeah.
I like to ride my pirogue in the morning. I use an old lantern sometimes. I like to set my wooden decoys. That's I like.
Right.
I could kill 3 ducks and be just as happy. I like going.
Right.
I like to watch the sunrise. I like to go back to the camp. What we got for dinner? Watch a football game. Cook. The camp part. No, I want the days. But I think if you put them 3 ducks, and I don't see how they didn't change nothing last year.
Me either.
I'd take the 3 days. Now that's not good for guards or people selling hunts maybe, but
I mean, if they want to keep their business going long term, I mean, you got to do what you got to
Yeah.
do. You know,
People they want like the season pushed back like a few
Into
weeks where
February.
You like
I don't
that.
care. I don't think that.
I feel like that would mess up, your birds going back up north.
I don't see how that would. My person and me would benefit anything about that.
Nothing.
Maybe some people they hunt different places, but I don't see that. We kill ducks. We kill ducks to open the weekend. We kill everybody else does, and we kill them at the end. It's hard to hunt. You got to out-fool them. You got to do different things. You
Right.
can't hunt one blind over here. You got to do something,
Yeah,
You got to move a blind. You can move a blind 20 yards and I've done it 3 years ago. Made all the difference in the world.
Wow.
Where you think it wouldn't.
right.
We tried all kinds of stuff. There's always a sweet spot somewhere. You just got to do all kinds of things.
Got to work for it.
I'm making a blind right now with a soccer stump.
I was about to ask you about that.
It's in the yard. I'm building. You got to put that on a pontoon because the water fluctuates. You got to have it on a floating,
Right.
and you put a bunch of vines and it looks like a stump. Let me tell you something. I got one. That's a deadly son of a gun, man.
I believe it.
You sit in it, put your head down, they don't move. They coming. It's a natural.
Right. It doesn't
I
look out the
got a
ordinary.
spot. I don't know if I'm gonna have it out. I'm waiting on my styrofoam to open the weekend. But where I'm putting it's gonna be good as
Right.
it goes. It's gonna be out for the second weekend, I guarantee you.
I'll be
And
excited.
I'm gonna put
to see
pictures
that.
on there. I'm gonna show you something.
I'm ready to see them.
The old hunters, when I grew up, hunted like that.
Oh yeah.
We made some blinds like that. My cousin had a blind in a tree. I know a lot of people that did that. And they murdered the ducks, man. Because there ain't nothing sticking out.
Right. Now, what's your take on the whole public land scene now, as far as respecting space and respecting other hunters? Have you seen a change in that compared to?
When I grew up, there was a place we used to hunt. It was thousands of acres. And I'm talking about the early 70s. We'd go anywhere we want. We didn't know who owned it. But there wasn't many hunters.
Right.
And the landowners never told you nothing. The people, the old people, was raised with a lot of respect.
Right.
The ones that fought in the war. They wouldn't come out and be ugly to you.
Right.
Or want to arrest you. And right now it's kind of different.
Oh, it's very different.
Yeah.
They didn't have that. They wouldn't
Right.
do that. But we didn't go tie nothing up. I was raised, my daddy beat me. He was a World War II man. I wouldn't say nothing in front of my daddy. I was so scared. So I was raised to respect.
Right.
But we'd hunt all over. There was other people hunting. And nobody, we for sure wouldn't take nothing or steal nothing.
Right.
Tire nothing up. We never thought of that. If somebody need help, we go help them. And those people let you hunt what they want. And we used to hunt like that. But it changed. That's it. Even in the WMAs, they had some old people had some blinds they put. They had an old Frenchman in the back of spring bar. He'd have 2 sticks tied with a Piro blind in them holes. And one day was in WMA, but that was kind of his
Right.
that territory, you could say. And one day we was in there, and that man come piling. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're in your blind, we're gonna get out." "Oh no, Monty, y'all should do good right there. It's gonna be a good day. I'll go to another ring." And that's how people were.
Yeah. Nowadays, everyone wants to
They'll
act.
kill you, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
actually wants to act like they own these WMAs, and it's public land, and it's just really.
I think
sad.
that hurts a lot of the industry too.
But I'm gonna
As
tell
far
you
as-
something. It gives the kids, the people, a bad rap because it makes them into bad people.
Right.
Because they're seeing how they are, and it makes them
Oh,
you know.
you fuss at me for hunting your blind. That,
Yeah.
You know, and then now if somebody's sitting in my blind one more, I'm gonna go fuss at them.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
what I'm saying. It's about environment all day.
Oh yeah, we had a run in Catahoula last year, man.
But man, just think this year with all that, it's supposed to be all private. But look, I hunted there in the 70s. I hunted there close to 50 years,
Right.
about 45 years. Made some good hunts. I don't know where to go no more. I don't want to go somewhere and a man says, I'm calling the law, I'm arresting you.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't know where to go. They say there's no posted signs now. It's not surveyed or there's no posted signs.
I can show you something.
There's some, yeah. But the whole thing.
There's one public spot, and I'll show you after this.
Yeah.
Just so
But you see, I don't know where to go.
I'll show you.
And I'm not going to the courthouse. And I'm not. it's
I'll
too
show
much
you,
trouble.
Mr. Dale.
Huh?
But I'll show you
Yeah.
on my phone. I'll show you. But no, last year we were hunting, and we had been hunting, you know, the east side of the lake, and that's one of the private parts now. And I had no idea. I knew they had made it private, but I didn't know where.
Yeah.
And go ride around and find a blind, sit in it. Well, we sat in a guy's blind one morning, and he pulled up, and I'm like, oh man, like he's gonna be real mad at us. And he walked up, he's like, man, y'all in our blind, and this is right before shooting light. So we like, well, I'm not hunting you blind, you know. So we got out, moved all our stuff, had a good exchange with him. He was a real cool guy. And then next day we went back, hunted a different spot, but ran out of gas, and he pulled us back. And I was like, man, you know, if everybody was like that dude, it'd be a lot better hunting.
And it should be. Yeah,
Should be. I mean, he was a great guy.
Yeah. It's nice to encounter people like that. And they have good people.
Oh, 100%.
There's a lot of them that's not. I mean, he could have cursed you out.
Oh, he could have.
Yeah, I went hunt the wax, and I popped in the blind. You know, there's like thousands of them out there, and no one's really hunting them. And I hopped in one, and this dude come up, and he was cursing me out, saying all these things.
He didn't have to do that.
And he's just shining his light at me, and he didn't want to go, and I was just like, sorry, bro. Like,
but look,
here.
they made Catahoula private. I don't know why it hasn't been private 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Why till now? But here's the part that bothers me. A lot of that was grandfathered, I understand that. But all these blinds, and I know a bunch, somebody's got 12-year-old boys that love to hunt and can't wait, they lost out on that. I'm about the kids, me.
Right.
I bring old people ducks. I take care of the old people I know. But I'm about the kids. I would pass up a spot or do something to let a kid have an experience.
Right.
That's our future generations coming up to save what we got. And the way that went down, it slashed all that out. And I know they got private property and the kids can hunt there. But there's a lot of kids that I know with grown-ups that don't hunt no more. They don't have a place to go. That's what I hate to see miss out.
Well,
and they got WMAs, but you get shot at the boat like that. I wouldn't go fight that. They got llama boats a mile long.
Oh yeah.
People curse it. That's where you get cursed out or in a fight.
Yeah, I've always
You
heard
can't
fights happening in like
yeah,
the
you
boat
can't
line.
bring a kid to see that.
Wham Break up north in Shreveport around there, they had a bunch of fights for teal season. They weren't going to shoot a limit of greenheads. They were going to shoot teal, and they'd been fighting over teal. Like I feel like that's just, you know, within the last 10 years, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's something that, you know, people fighting over ducks is almost popular now.
Oh, it's out here in Arkansas, them boat launches.
It gets
I heard
ugly.
our stories. It's all over the place like that, yeah. I don't want to be part of that.
No, I try to stay away from it as much as possible. If y'all ever run into me or Damon on public land, hand to God right now, we will not get in an altercation with you. If you build the blind, we'll get out. We'll be respectful. If y'all pull up on us on our spot, y'all come hunt, man. Because I'm not about harboring ducks from nobody. I mean, if that's something you love to do, it shouldn't be taken away from you because somebody wants to be selfish.
No.
I'm just putting that out there right now. But
It's a different ball game.
I think if people start seeing you know, exactly how duck hunting's starting to trend. And, you know, the old timers like yourself start putting their voice out and being heard like, hey, y'all are doing this wrong. Like, y'all want to keep going, y'all got to check yourselves, you know. And that's a big reason I started, you know, that's why I texted you. It was like, man, I think if we talk to Mr. Dale and start talking to, you know, the old timers and the generation before us that got to see it, the birds, how they were.
Well, I know a lot of people that quit hunting. Because, now, they're not diehard hunters.
Right.
Because I would never quit. They went from duck to deer. I would never do that. I would never do that.
Right.
I got it in my blood so bad. But there's a lot of people that transition because it's not the duck, it's not where it's going. It's not where it's going to them.
Right.
It's where it's going to me. I guess. But, and we're losing out on that. We're losing on a lot over here. And it's a lot of political stuff comes into mind with all this now too, you know. I ain't gonna say about no organizations, but Louisiana steady going down in the hole. They can say what they want. The people I talk to everybody across the state. The only good thing they have is that blue wing season. That's the new duck season in Louisiana. Yeah. From Jennings to Lake Arthur to Gaydon, Welch, and the mouth of the river, Venice. And they got different places. That's the new duck season.
Right.
It's not the big duck no more.
Right.
It used to be the other way around. I mean, the sport would come to Louisiana.
Right. Now you got people going to Oklahoma, Arkansas.
But they say it's the duck. They come up with so many excuses.
Yeah, I've heard Ducks Unlimited.
I heard a biologist say on social media, there was a panel of people talking, and he's from Missouri. I heard him say the duck come to Louisiana, then they don't have nothing to eat and they leave. I'm going to tell you, that man's full of crap.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen the duck that used to come to Louisiana in the 70s. I've seen them sometimes in the 90s. When you look up and never lose sight of a bunch on a flight day. You don't see that no more. I ain't seen that in 30 years. Those ducks is not, I'm going to tell you that, they're not coming to Louisiana because I look for that. There's no more ducks that come in.
They staying up north. I mean, when you got ponds that are supposed to freeze over, you know, you got your, I guess, rice fields or whatever. When your first snow comes in, all that corn's supposed to get covered up, and now they've found a way to keep the water open, keep the food sources free, and I mean,
the icebreaker technology or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they have the little bubblers that keep the ponds open, and that short stops a lot of ducks for sure. I don't care what anybody says. That's how I see it.
I'll tell everybody this. If you like it, if you got to go 30 miles and you want to eat a hamburger at McDonald's, and you got to drive 30 miles, and then somebody puts a shop up a mile down the road, where are you going to stop?
I'm stopping at the shop.
That's what them ducks are doing.
Oh, yeah.
It's common knowledge.
That ain't too common no more.
So that's what I do. That's what I do. The old people, there wasn't soft calling because there was pressure duck, because it wasn't back then. It was big bunches they wanted to get the whole bunch. Right. If you're working 40 ducks and one decides to leave, well, they're all gonna leave.
Right.
If they commit the whole bunch. That's what they would tell me. You gotta know how to handle a bunch of ducks.
Right.
And not 3 or 4 people blowing.
One person.
One man's gotta run that ship. And you gotta know what he's doing. Oh yeah, I knew several people that did that. And I'd sit with them. I know a man that sold ducks for 40 years to a restaurant in New Orleans. And I sat with him for hours. I have the stores in that container. He taught me how to do all this.
Right.
Him and Sammy Point, there's several of them. They explained to me in detail. I wrote all that down. How to kill all these ducks.
I guess.
That was, so they taught me, when a man's killing 100 ducks,
You
he's
listen.
doing something right.
Yeah.
That's the ones I go talk to.
Yes, sir.
I learned a lot from them. Most of those people are humble. Now, when they got older, I used to bring them their ducks.
Right.
They all passed on now, but I got a couple of friends around Narnia. I still bring them ducks. But all those people are so humble, man. When you go spend a little time with them, when you leave that house, I got a smile on my face. Nothing can mess my day up. Just spend a little time with them old people. Just hearing a few old stories. It's priceless. But I've done that my whole life growing up with them.
Right. Well, you any final remarks? We're gonna try to wrap it up. That way we're not getting back to the house late in the evening.
No, just don't give it up. Stay at it. There's always a way to kill a few ducks.
Yes, sir.
And it's just so much of a pleasurable sport, enjoyable sport. And I always do that. I've always done it. It's a hassle. I know it's hard to hunt in public land, but there's always a place and a way you go with your kids and enjoy it.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dale, we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you for letting us do this with you.
I appreciate it.